Hi students, welcome you to our exam focus series. In this video, I am going to give some tips for your public examination and explain how to score center. And at the end, we are going to discuss one model question paper. First, let us see the question pattern. All of you may be aware of that. Objective questions, totally 14 objective questions. You have to answer all the 14 questions. Each question carries 1 mark. All objective questions only. So 4 options will be given. You have to select the correct one. For that, you have to study the entire textbook book back objectives, but that is not enough. You have to learn all the results and the principles and the definition, everything go through so that you can answer that objective questions. 14 objective questions, there is no choice. You have to answer all the 14 objectives. So mainly this one decides your center. Then you have short answer type questions. You will be answering 10 2-mark questions. 10 2-mark questions out of 14 questions. 14 questions will be given. You have to answer 10. But the last question, question number 28, will be the compulsory one. You have to write that. There is no option for that one. Then you have long answer type 5-mark questions. That also you have to answer 10 questions out of 14 questions. Again, the last question is compulsory one. That is question number 42. Then in the fourth part, you have 8-mark questions. Graph and construction. Internal choice is there. Construction, they give 2 constructions. You have to answer any one. And graph also 2 questions will be there. You will be answering 1. So that questions you can answer very easily. So by preparing in such a way, first you can go through all the construction and graph. But don't take risk on that. Learn every construction. Suppose don't think I learn this only one construction, I can leave it, I can learn the remaining. Don't take any risk. Learn all the construction. It won't take much time because 8 mark, it is very, very important. So construction, you learn all the constructions. You have to draw the rough diagram, then main diagram, construction steps. All these things compulsory. Then in addition to that, you read the question. If they ask something else, find the length of the tangent. Then you have to measure the length. If they ask verify, you do that. Find the length of the altitude, you do that. So read the question very carefully. Then graph, go through all the graph. So they may ask solve graphically or draw the graph of one equation and solve another one. Or they may ask find the nature of the roots. So go through all the constructions and graph so that 8 into 2, 16 mark you can score very easily. Then totally there are 8 chapters. Some of you may think I cannot study all the 8. So at least there are some easy chapters. The students, those who find maths very tough, you can concentrate at least that. Easily 5 chapters you can study very easily. That is chapter number 1. Relations and functions, easily you can study. Then algebra, some of you may think it's tough. It's not a tough one, easily you can study that. Algebra, then coordinate geometry, chapter 5. Then chapter 7, mensuration. Then chapter 8, statistics and probability. These 5 chapters are very easy chapters, anyone can study. If you put some effort and write and see each and every question. But the students aiming for center, you learn every chapter. And in the other chapters also trigonometry. The students, those who find difficult also, you learn trigonometry because trigonometry will be useful for your higher classes also. So not only 10th standard is not only to score mark in 10th standard, it is a foundation for your higher classes, right? When you go for 11th, 12th, you need trigonometry. So trigonometry you study especially the identities, the formula, the trigonometry table, the basics. If you are thorough, trigonometry will be very easy. Because many students you find trigonometry tough because you didn't study the basics properly. If you find trigonometry tough, please go through the video what you put for trigonometry separately. Just a half-an-hour video. If you go through that, you can learn trigonometry very easily. Okay, if you want, you can watch that video also later. Okay. Then chapter number 2, numbers, sequence, series, arithmetic. Some of you may find that's tough. Not tough one. Easily you can study. Learn all the formula. கொடுத்துருக்க எல்லா ஃபார்முலா படிங்க. arithmetic progression, geometric progression. If you learn and some special series, sum of n natural numbers, sum of the squares, sum of the cubes, Sometimes they'll ask the direct questions. So don't omit the chapters. Try to learn as much as possible. Then geometry, there only have construction. Then learn the theorems first. State and prove. And the statement also you have to study. Learn what it is given in the book as it is. Don't change, don't put your own words. State and prove Pythagoras theorem. State and prove basic proportionality theorem. Learn the statement. Sometimes in 2 marks they'll ask you the statement alone. Converse statements you study. The 4 theorems you study thoroughly. The students aiming center, you go for other proofs also. Then you can go through the riders. 2 marks rider sums you can do very easily even in geometry. So easily you can cover that 8 chapters, you revise it. Then how the questions will be. The previous years, most of the questions they used to ask from the textbook. But now not like that. There are a lot of created questions. So created question means they're not bringing from somewhere else. If you're thorough with the results and the formula given in our book, you can answer any question. So the concepts you study thoroughly. Any chapter you take, don't omit anything. Learn everything. Learn that. Try to understand the results. Don't try to mug up anything in mathematics. If you understand, you can answer any question. Then same way, don't avoid theory questions. Learn all the theory questions. Learn the definitions. Define set. They may ask that. Define vertical line test, horizontal line test. So theory questions, don't avoid. Learn all the theory questions. Okay, so if you learn one chapter, don't select questions. Learn everything thoroughly. Then only you can score very high mark. Then we have, after that created questions, time management is very important. When you go for your examination, the time management, so 3-hour time they are giving. First 10 minutes to go through the question paper they are giving. So while reading the question itself, you just think which questions you are going to answer. Okay, that is very important. Don't spend much time in one question. Suppose you start with one question, which may be a familiar one, but you are not arriving the answer. Don't spend too much of time. Just leave it. Don't strike it out. Leave some space. Go for the next question. Don't waste time in one particular question. Objective questions also, there are some questions, very, thoroughly. Okay, do that first. Suppose one question you don't know, that one question alone leave space. Finish all the remaining questions, then sit, relax, and do that sums what you left out. Okay, so time management is very important. And selection of questions. If you want to finish the paper on time, selection of questions is important. Some students, they study thoroughly, they learn everything. 14 questions, they know all the 14 questions. But you are supposed to write only 10 questions, right? So which questions to answer, that is important. Don't write from 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, you don't write. You go through, you select the questions which take less time. Which one very familiar to you? Which one you did so many times? So that type of questions you select. Also prove that questions you select, because you know the answer, you won't make any mistake, right? But some calculation, some mensuration, some lot of calculation, sometimes we may make mistakes. So to be very careful, selection of questions is important. Then presentation, smart presentation. Your presentation should be very neat. When you do the objective questions, first you write the question numbers correctly. That's important. Question number correctly. When you write the objective questions, write the option and answer. Question number, option, then you write the answer. Then for diagrams, you must use only pencil you must use. Don't start a new question in the last 1 or 2 lines. Don't. Just put a bar, write PTO, then you start in the next page. Same way, don't end the question in the next page, just one line. Some students, they do like that. அப்படியே ஒரு question எழுதிட்டே வருவாங்க, next pageல ஒரு line எழுதிருப்பாங்க. Try to avoid that. Try to finish in that page itself. If not, take 2-3 lines to the next page. Graph construction should be very neat. Don't forget write the scale. So all these things are very important. Then presentation, that's what I said. Your presentation should be very clear. So it should impress the examiner. Okay, so highlight the answers what they written, but you cannot use different colors and all. Just underline wherever possible that you know. When you prepare for the examination, one thing I want to tell you, please take special notes. Write down the formula. When you prepare for the board examination, when you do the revision, every chapter, write down the formula, mark the questions. often you make mistakes. இந்த மாதிரி கொஸ்டின்ஸ் எல்லாம் மார்க் பண்ணி வச்சுட்டிங்கன்னா எக்ஸாம் டைமில் இட் வில் பி வெரி யூஸ்ஃபுல் டு யூ. ஓகே, ஸோ I think with this idea, if you prepare, I'm sure you can score a center very easily. But remember, hard work is very important. Without hard work, you cannot achieve anything. When you work hard, definitely God will bless your efforts. You can score very high mark. What you don't expect. நம்ம நினைக்கிறத விட நல்ல ஹை மார்க் வாங்குறதுக்கு சான்சஸ் இருக்குது. ஸோ ஆல் த பெஸ்ட். ஸோ next what I am going to do, we are going to discuss some model question papers.